up, everybody? This is your boy, Teran Rodriguez, bringing you another edition of Set Point. And as always, we have ourselves a jam-packed show as we have a lot of volleyball to discuss, as this is the Season 6 finale of Set Point. But this weekend is the Manhattan Beach Open in the AVP, as it's the granddaddy of them all. Who will come out on top on the men's and women's side? And also, the AVP League has wrapped up. Which teams made the postseason and which teams are on the outside looking in. Also, the AVCA dropped its first preseason poll in women's volleyball in Division 1. And let's just say the number one team is not last year's national champion. But who is it? Also, the U.S. men's national team is going to have a scrimmage this weekend at Cypress College. And the younger team did bring home some gold. The U21 team brought home some gold. Also, the high school girls volleyball kicks off this weekend, as the AMP tournament is going to be live for real this time in Hawaii. So hand me volleyball today. So I'm going to serve you volleyball action here on Set Point. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you the Season 6 finale of Set Point here on iSports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome one, welcome all to another edition of Set Point. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Monday afternoon, Monday evening, Monday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you've made your way in episode 311 of Set Point. Without any further delay, let us begin. But first and foremost, Set Point would not be where it's at without iSports Radio providing the platform to go live on StreamYard, which eventually goes live on YouTube, Twitch, and X. Please do follow iSports Radio on several different social media platforms such as X and TikTok. Those are our main platforms. Also, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Like this video as well to help boost the algorithm. We're trying to reach 500 subscribers, and with your help, we could definitely make it happen. So definitely do give us a follow, and with your help, we could definitely make our goals happen. And thank you so much for supporting iSports Radio. For the last 11 years, iSports Radio has been bringing you amazing content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel, to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making iSports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. The way you can follow Set Point on social media is on X, formerly known as Twitter, at set_point.ie. And you can follow me personally as well on X as well, at Teran Rodriguez1. You can also follow Set Point on social media at set_point.iesr. That's where I am mainly active, so definitely do give it a follow. Trying to grow that as well. Before we get on into the volleyball action, we'll have a word from a couple of our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, and Vital Apparel. So without any further delay, let's get on into what our sponsors are all about. I'll see you all in a few minutes.
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
That's right, everybody. Definitely check out both of our sponsors. We appreciate them for being the official sponsors of IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And once again, thank you to them. We appreciate it. And again, if you aren't following us on social media, follow us on X and TikTok at IE Sports Radio. And definitely do subscribe to us on YouTube. We greatly appreciate that. And you could also follow Set Point on Instagram at set_point IESR and on X, formerly known as Twitter, at set_point IE. And my camera is acting up, which hasn't been a thing in a minute, even though I just refreshed my screen, but I digress. Anyway, also follow me personally at Teran Rodriguez 1. So with all that being said, let us get on into the volleyball action as Brian Francione pops in the chat room. He says, "Good evening, Teran. Congrats on the great nose." Thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. I'll be getting on into what the great news is in a little bit. So I'm going to leave you all in a little suspense, but let's actually talk some volleyball action. So let's recap some AVP action, as this past week was actually week 8 of the AVP League, and it was the last week of the AVP League, which I thought was it was basically the final frontier of who was going to win the AVP League Cup. So overall, every team was actually still in contention of making the playoffs in terms of the AVP League. So even the Miami Mayhem with one win a couple weeks ago was still in contention, but they got 3 wins and then they had 4. So yeah, I will just say the AVP League has definitely been spectacular, and it's definitely been a fun league. But only 6 teams can make the postseason, and 2 teams are basically on the outside looking in. And let's just say one of those teams unfortunately will not be in the postseason. But who is that team? We shall find out. So let's get on into the recap. So recapping the AVP League, week 8 took us to Dallas, which is a place that I am familiar with going to. So first match we had was the Dallas Dream and the Brooklyn Blaze. So Brooklyn was also fighting for its playoff lives as well as Dallas. And in the end, and this was the women's side of the match, but in the end, Dallas was able to protect its home sand and defeat the Brooklyn Blaze 15-8 and 15-13. A big win for the Dallas Dream, who made the AVP League Championship last year. And then on the men's side, the Dallas Dream took down the Brooklyn Blaze by pretty much the near identical score, except in the second set, the Dallas Dream held the Brooklyn Blaze to only 12 points. Then we had the Miami Mayhem taking down the LA Launch in a 2-set sweep, 15-12 and 15-12. I'm just going to say this right now. All of their matches were all decided in 2 sets. There was no dramatic third setter. And that win with the Miami Mayhem beating the LA Launch, that was huge right there, just because the Mayhem were fighting for their lives and the Launch were fighting for the AVP League Cup. And on the men's side, the Miami Mayhem took down the LA Launch by the exact same scores in the same number of sets, 15-12 and 15-12. So another big win for the Miami Mayhem, as they picked up 2 wins right there to help boost their chances of making the AVP League playoffs. And then that was on Friday's matches. All these matches took place at the Commercia Center. And then on Saturday, we had the Miami Mayhem taking on the Dallas Dream. But unlike the Miami Mayhem LA Launch matchup, you had the Dallas Dream taking down the Miami Mayhem in straight sets 15-13 and 15-8. But on the women's side, the Mayhem took down the Dream 15-11 and 15-13. And that win right there officially punched Miami's ticket into the postseason, which I thought was pretty darn impressive, if you ask me. So keep in mind, Miami had one win going into week 7. So the fact that they had a massive turnaround was pretty impressive, if you ask me. Only dropping 2 matches, which was pretty good, if you ask me. So congratulations to the Miami Mayhem, and job well done on their behalf. And then looking at the LA Launch versus Brooklyn Blaze matchup, you had the Launch taking down the Blaze on the women's side in straight sets 15-12 and 15-13. And then you had the Launch taking down the Blaze on the men's side 15-12 and 15-11. So the Launch, even though they didn't win the AVP League Cup, aka have the best record in the league, it still was pretty solid. They still had a great season. They did fall 1 match short of winning the AVP League Cup. So Palm Beach Passion has the best record in terms of the regular season and is the number 1 seed. LA Launch, I imagine, will be the number 2 seed. The Dallas Dream, they finished 8-8, so they got the number 3 seed. The Miami Mayhem finished 4th. Just a massive, amazing turnaround for them. And yes, they had to make it interesting, and it did work. And then the New York Nitro, they finished 7-9 as well. They finished 2 points behind the Miami Mayhem, so they finished 5th. They get the 5th seed. And then the Austin Aces finished 6th. They also finished 7-9, but they were 1 point behind the Nitro, so they get the 6th seed. So those are your 6 teams that made the postseason. Unfortunately, the Brooklyn Blaze and the San Diego Smash did not make the AVP League playoffs. So the AVP or the San Diego Smash won't be repeating as champions, AVP League champions, which really sucks. And then the Brooklyn Blaze, that's rough for them, losing their matches when it unfortunately mattered most. They lost both times to the Launch, and then they lost both times to the Dream. So the Brooklyn Blaze was in control of their playoff destiny, but unfortunately the Launch and the Dream had other plans. So it is what it is, and sometimes that's just the way the ball bounces. And for the San Diego Smash, they basically needed everything for them, everything to go their way. And unfortunately, that was not the case. Dallas, unfortunately, wound up pretty much running the table. And then the Mayhem caught fire, and so on and so forth. So overall, it's just a tough break for the Smash. But as the old saying, and especially with the San Diego Smash and their situation with Teran Rodriguez, she unfortunately hurt her shoulder, and then she was out for the rest of the AVP League, and she's probably going to be missing the Manhattan Beach Open this weekend, but more on that later. But yeah, having a partner shift really kind of, I wouldn't say rattled Gina Arango, but it just kind of rang their bell. So unfortunately for the San Diego Smash, they don't make the AVP League playoffs, and then the Brooklyn Blaze don't make the AVP League playoffs. Brooklyn and San Diego were 1 point behind Austin, but they were also 1 full game behind Austin. So that's just the way the ball bounces. So it's a better luck next time deal for San Diego Smash and Brooklyn. So there you have it. And then in terms of the women's records, in terms of the AVP League, the Austin Aces had the bet on the women's side. You had Taryn Brasher and Kristen Nuss having the best record, having 7 wins and only 1 loss. The Palm Beach Passions, Melissa Humana Predis and Brandy Wilkerson finished 6-2. LA Launches, Therese Kinnan and Megan Kraft finished 5-3 with 14 points. The Brooklyn Blazes, Julia Donlin and Lexi Denenberg also finished 5-3 with 13 points. The Miami Mayhems, Kelly Chang and Molly Shaw, they finished 4-4 with 12 points. The San Diego Smashes, Tony Rodriguez / Devin Newberry and Gina Arango finished 2-6 with 8 points. Dallas Dreams, Haley Harward and Kylie DeBerg finished 2-6 with 8 points. And then the New York Nitros, Megan J. Rice and Corin Quiggle finished 1-7 with only 5 points. So that's the women's leaderboard. Then on the men's leaderboard, we had a 2-way tie for first place, which I think is pretty impressive. The Dallas Dreams, Miles Partain and Andy Benish finished 6-2 with 18 points. And then tying with them was the Palm Beach Passions, Phil Dalhauser and Trevor Crabb, also with a 6-2 record and 18 points. Then the New York Nitros, Taylor Sander and Taylor Crabb also finished 6-2, but they were 2 points less than the leaders. They had 16 points. And then the LA Launches, Hagen Smith and Logan Weber had finished 6-2, but they had 14 points. Then in fifth place, we had the San Diego Smashes, Chase Budinger and Miles Evans finishing 4-4 with 11 points. And then the Miami Mayhems, Kame Schalk and James Shaw finished 3-5 with 11 points. And then the Brooklyn Blazes, Sean Cook and oh god, this is the one that I was drawing a blank on last week. It's going to come to me, but Cook and Miller, they finished 1-7 with only 6 points. And then poor Avery Drost and Wyatt Harrison, they finished 0-8 with only 2 points. So my poor boys my poor boy Avery Drost, a friend of the show, former Set Point guest. It makes me sad knowing that that unfortunately he and his partner didn't get a win in the AVP League. But hey, that's just how it is sometimes, and that just goes to show the talent of the AVP League. So all in all, that is pretty much it in terms of the AVP League. So get ready, everybody. The AVP League Championship is going to be in a few weeks, and I'm excited for it. I am really excited for the AVP League Championship. It's going to be held in Chicago, and of course, they didn't want to hold it in California, which really makes me sad. It sucks, but it is what it is, and sometimes that's just how it is. So, yeah, that's just the way the ball bounces and whatnot. And I guess it's only fair to have a different host and not like the same host over and over and over again. So yeah, it sucks, but I'll live, I'll survive, and I won't complain about it too much, and I won't cry about it. So, all right, but that is that in terms of the AVP League right there, and I promise you all, I will try to find who that Miller guy's name is. Oh, that ain't it. I should know this. It's something Miller. It's not Brian Miller. That's Beach Boys. But yeah, Sean Cook and something Miller. Not even the AVP isn't doing me any favors, but I bet you it's gonna be something that it's so. And it's not Theo Brunner. Okay. Anyway, that's it. That's it for the AVP League. I'm not gonna figure this out and whatnot. I'm not gonna figure it out much longer. I bet you it's gonna be something so obvious, and then I'm gonna miss it. Anyway, so that's it for the AVP League. Now for the Manhattan Beach preview. So the Manhattan Beach Open is this weekend, and oh boy, this is the granddaddy of them all. So we talk about AVP tournaments that mean a lot. This one is the one that means the most. That it means so much, it just means more to everybody. If you win the AVP's Manhattan Beach Open, you get your name on the Manhattan Beach Pier, and that's a massive honor. So I could see why players all are making such a huge deal of it. So this is the big one. It's this weekend. It's a 3-day event. It's going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And established in 1960, the AVP Manhattan Beach Open is synonymous with the word iconic in the sport of beach volleyball. It is, no, I kid you not, it is the granddaddy of them all. The granddaddy of them all returns with the biggest draw of the season and the highest stakes. Who will cement their name in history on the Manhattan Beach Pier with a victory? So there you have it right there. That is pretty much that. But they don't have, their website isn't giving me any more info other than like tickets and whatnot. So yeah, so I guess I'll talk to you about the date. So main draw competition is Friday, and then also the main draw is on Saturday, but then semifinals and finals are all on Sunday. So the final will be at about like maybe 2 p.m. for like the men's or women's, and then the other will follow suit. So semifinals and finals are on Sunday. So I think they're just going to get rid of the whole double elimination because that is a lot of volleyball to be playing with and whatnot. So yeah, but we don't have any information in terms of who's playing or who's in the draw. So unfortunately, I won't be able to attend this one as I've got stuff going on Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, it's a bummer. I really need to go to I really need to make a point to go to the Manhattan Beach for many reasons. The Manhattan Beach Open, the Manhattan Beach Six-Man in terms of beach volleyball, and just Manhattan Beach, period, because I live near a pier and whatnot, but I digress. Anyway, so that is that for the Manhattan Beach Open. Yeah, unfortunately, until I get some information regarding the AVP's Manhattan Beach Open, well, maybe I can see. Maybe I can dig this up. Maybe I can dig this up. I refuse to give up. And maybe I'll be able to find who Brian Miller. So Brian Miller's his name. So I was right. It was Brian Miller. Why did I think Brian Miller was a member of the Beach Boys? Anyway, so yeah, Brian Miller and Sean Cook. So I guess Theo Brunner was out due to injury and whatnot, and then Brian Miller just filled in. So anyway, so all right, let's try to look for the AVP league or for the AVP's Manhattan Beach Open. Maybe I could find the main draw. Just because I really want to give this an actual preview because this is the granddaddy of them all, and this deserves an actual tournament. I don't think I'm going to find it. Yeah, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, so I won't be able to find an AVP, the actual. I'm even on the beach volleyball database website, and there's no info. So thanks, AVP. I can't properly preview this without any information. Anyway, but yeah, it's a definite great event. I know it's going to be streamed probably on Bally Sports or YouTube or whatnot, but please try to go to this if you're in the California area. It's a fun experience, even though I've never been to this event, and I really want to cross it off my bucket list. So there you go. All right, but that's that for the AVP. No, that wasn't as anticlimactic. That was a little anticlimactic than normal, but it's the best I can really do with the limited resources I have. Anyway, so now let's jump on into some NCAA women's volleyball. So last Wednesday was the AVCA/Terraflex Division I women's volleyball poll for the preseason. So the poll is as follows. Nebraska is number 1. Penn State is 2. Pitt is 3. Louisville is 4. Texas is 5. Stanford is 6. Kentucky is 7. Wisconsin is 8. Texas A&M is 9. And SMU is 10. That rounds off the top 10. So my initial reaction is kind of surprising to see Nebraska at number 1, but at the same time, they've got a lot of upside. They return Harper Murray. They return Andy Jackson. The list goes on and on in terms of their notable players, Rebecca Alec and whatnot. So there's no doubt in my mind they are deserving of the number 1 spot. I just would like to I would have liked to have seen the reigning champs ahead at number 1, but it's more motivation for Penn State. So 11 down is Minnesota at 11, Creighton at 12, Arizona State at 13, Kansas at 14, Purdue at 15, Florida at 16, Missouri at 17, UCLA at 18, BYU 19, Baylor 20, USC 21, Georgia Tech 22, Utah 23, Dayton 24, and TCU 25. So my initial reaction is this. Texas, for a team that only made it to the Sweet 16, I'm surprised they're actually top 5. But again, they did get Tori Stafford, and they do return a majority of their players, even though they lost Maddie Skinner. But there's a lot of upside for Texas. I think Texas fans definitely should be excited about this season, even though Texas was barely edged out by Kentucky. I think Kentucky, in my opinion, is way too low. I think Kentucky is going to be a dark horse team to possibly win the national championship, especially with Eva Hudson on their team. Like, Eva Hudson and Brooklyn DeLay is basically going to be a cheat code for this Kentucky team. And then Stanford, they're 6th. I can kind of see why. I mean, they did lose Cammie Minor to graduation, but they've got other players like Elia Rubin, but who will be the libero for following the graduation of Alina Ogilvy, and so on and so forth. Louisville is number 4, which, I mean, top 5 is still pretty good, but I kind of feel bad for Louisville. I think 4 is perfect for them. I mean, Pitt's number 3, and they were number 1 throughout most of the season last year, and obviously they were the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. So you have that right there. A&M is going to really surprise a lot of teams this year. I think they can challenge their way through the SEC. SMU, they're obviously going to compete well in the ACC. Will they have the same season like they did last year? That's going to all depend. Minnesota is 11. That kind of makes sense. I mean, it kind of makes sense. I mean, I feel there's some hype with Minnesota, but we'll have to wait and see. Arizona is 13. Creighton is 12. This is going to be an interesting year for Creighton. No more Nora Sis. Most of their starting line from last year did graduate. They do have Ava Martin. I think they could still be good. I mean, it's going to boil down to just them and Marquette in the Big East Conference. And then Kansas is 14th, which, I mean, I think they were the ones that were chosen to win the Big 12 championship this year. I would have to go back and look at that, but I think it's going to be between them and BYU. Maybe I'm missing something in terms of that conference, but I think Kansas is going to definitely vie for the championship. I'm not so sure about BYU. I mean, last year was kind of a little bit of a down year for them, but again, they probably are going to. They're going to vie. I think BYU is also going to vie. I know last year was the first time in a hot minute that they lost in the first round under Heather Olmstead. And can I also just mention that the Big 12 did not had a media day, but they kind of sprang this to us all at the last minute, and it was televised on ESPN Plus and YouTube. So Big 12, you kind of got to do a little bit better in terms of getting your promotions out in terms of like your media day. Like, I didn't even know there was a Big 12 media day until the day before. So that's wild if you ask me, but that's pretty darn cool So here's the Big 12 preseason poll. I didn't really, unfortunately, put this on the banner, but BYU is slated to finish first in the Big 12, then Kansas, then Arizona State, then Utah, then TCU, then Baylor, Arizona, Kansas State, Iowa, Colorado, Houston, Texas Tech, Cincinnati, UCF, and West Virginia. So there you have it right there. And yeah, that's pretty much the Big 12 poll. And I actually should get back to the actual NCAA or the ABCA preseason poll. So distracted myself for a little bit. But anyway, we left off at Kansas. So Kansas is selected to finish Kansas checked in at 14, Purdue 15. Purdue is way too high, in my opinion. They lost way too much to the transfer portal and graduation. I do not think Purdue deserves to be that high. They are way overrated, in my opinion. So I do not think Purdue deserves to be in the top 15. Florida is 16. That's an interesting team. I think they can be good. I know they lost Kennedy Martin, but they also have a new head coach, so they're going to need to develop a little bit underneath his tutelage and whatnot. So we'll have to wait and see. I think Missouri is better than Florida, especially with Kalen Alexander. Oh my goodness. Missouri is going to be scary this year. I think Missouri can definitely make a deep run to the NCAA tournament. Can they go make the national championship? That depends. Missouri checks in at 17. UCLA checks in at 18. That's the team we all need to watch out for. UCLA is the team to watch out for this season. Heck, I might even have teams to watch for for next week. The top NCAA women's volleyball teams that you should be watching out for this season. Maybe this week, if not maybe next week. So we'll see. But back to UCLA. That's the team you all need to keep an eye out for. UCLA is going to be so darn good in terms of this season. The amount of talent they got, it's just ridiculous. There's no excuse for this team to miss the NCAA tournament. There's no excuse. They're chosen to finish 5th in the Big 10. I can't imagine this team finishing outside of the top 5. The only way I see them finishing out of the top 5 is injuries and whatnot, which heaven forbid that happens, but I digress. Then BYU was selected to finish 19, or was then BYU at 19. I mean, I feel BYU has more to prove than Kansas. I think Kansas has a lot of good talent on their team. I think BYU will also be talented as well, but I think BYU, after that first round exit, I want to see what they can actually do. Baylor is at 20. This is an interesting team right here. I don't think they're going to be bad, but I don't think they're going to be eye-popping as well. I think Baylor has a lot of upside, but we'll see how they do in the Big 12. USC at 21. Look, USC is going to be good, but they're going to be so young. They got a lot of talent on their team. I think her name is Reese Messier or Reese Messer. She's going to be a dynamite setter for USC. She's going to be dynamite overall for USC. I could also see Quinn Loper getting some playing time. Presley Kiffin might vie for some playing time. She's a freshman. These are freshmen I'm talking about. Adania Falmuina and Leah Ford are going to be spectacular. Gala Trubin, I think, is a fantastic libero. I think she's going to do good things for USC as well. Georgia Tech at 22. Look, Georgia Tech is interesting. They don't have the flashy name like they have had in the past, like Bianca Bertolino, Mariana Brambilla, Julia Bergman. I really want to see what a full competent season from Georgia Tech. I really want to see what Georgia Tech can actually do. Then Utah at 23. Well, Beth Lanier's team being back in the top 25 is a breath of fresh air. She definitely does a great job with that program. Now, I want to see what Utah can do in terms of building off of last season. Can Utah go deeper in the NCAA tournament? Can they really surprise teams in the Big 12? Can they really strut their stuff and really prove that they deserve to be called a contender? That's my big thing for Utah. Then 24 is Dayton. Good to see a mid-major in the top 25, albeit Dayton pretty much runs the A10. I'm just kidding. They pretty much run the A10. My only qualm is that Loyola Chicago had something to say about it. They said, "Not so fast, my friend." But yeah, Dayton, this is going to be an interesting team. I think Dayton they'll definitely have a lot of upside in the A10 conference. I don't think what Loyola Chicago did last year is going to happen again this year. And that's no knock on Loyola Chicago in terms of women's volleyball. I just think Dayton is going to be pretty darn good this year. And until I see a team truly dethrone Dayton, I just see Dayton pretty much running the A10 conference. Now, my only other thing for Dayton is, do they have anyone enticing on their schedule? Do they have someone that's going to challenge them? Do they have like a Big Ten opponent? Do they have a Power 4 conference opponent? That all depends. I'll have to check on that, but I really want to see what Dayton can do this season. If they run into I really want to see Dayton beat a big-time team this season, if they have any scheduled at all. And then TCU at 25. This is another interesting team. This is a TCU team that I think can do good things, but at the same time, I also need to see what they can actually do, especially now that Melanie Parra is no longer with them anymore in terms of like graduating and whatnot. So I really want to see what TCU can do. I can see the hype within them, but at the same time, it's like, I need to see more. I want to see what TCU can do this season, especially in Big 12 conference play. But that'll do it for the AVCA Top 25 breakdown. What are your thoughts on the AVCA Top 25 for the preseason? Again, I will take my pride to the grave and say that Purdue should not be anywhere near the top 15. Heck, I don't even know if they're top 20. And that's no disrespect to Purdue, but until they go on a mean streak, until we see their players develop following the transferring of Eva Hudson and whatnot, I don't believe the hype in terms of Purdue. But maybe I'm missing something, but we'll see. All right, but that is that for the AVCA Top 25. We're going to take ourselves a quick little commercial break. When we come back, we've got some more volleyball action. We've got some USA volleyball to talk about. Then we've got a little high school volleyball to talk about. And then I will send you all on your way. So keep it locked here. You are listening to Set Point, here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after a word from this about what IE Sports Radio is all about. See you soon.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Locke.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
And we are back with the Season 6 finale of Set Point here on IA Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows, and definitely check out our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, and Vital Apparel. So let's get on back into the volleyball action. So remember what Brian told us regarding the great news? You remember, eh? Huh? Well, I'm going to keep you all in suspense for a little while. Anyway, let's talk some USA volleyball. So the US U21 men's volleyball team wound up winning gold at the Pan Am Cup in Calgary, Canada. I'm just going to say this right now. No offense to any Canada fans that watch this show or any Canadians, but USA has kind of been owning Canada in volleyball all around. Not just on the men's side, but on the women's side, and then on the lower levels as well. So Canada, don't take this personally, but get good. I'm not trying to start World War III with Canada. I'm just saying, it's like Canada in terms of like volleyball against the United States, the US has kind of been owning y'all, and that's no disrespect. That's not the full disrespect, but I'm just saying. Anyway, so yeah, the U.S. they started off play on Tuesday when they took down Chile in straight sets, 25-15, 25-14, and 25-15. And then the U.S. took down Barbados in straight sets, 25-18, 25-23, and 25-14. Then the U.S. took down Canada in 4 sets, 25-11, 25-22, 23-25, and 25-22. Then the U.S. took down Mexico in straight sets, 25-17, 25-19, and 26-24. And then the U.S. took down Puerto Rico in straight sets, 25-19, 25-18, and 25-18. So the U.S. wound up finishing first in pool play. So those 6 teams faced one another, and then they decided instead of having like 2 pools of 3 teams, they just decided to throw everybody in one pool, and then the top 2 finishers go to the gold medal match and whatnot. So the U.S. advanced to the gold medal match where they got to see Canada. So the first set was a tight set. This is the set that Canada is going to want back. If Canada takes this set, man, it might be a whole different outlook. But the U.S. wound up winning the first set 26-24. Second set, the U.S., well, they were in kind of full control. They just pretty much handled that set for the most part. They took the second set 25-21. Third set was mostly Canada leading. Although the U.S. pretty much was on the coattails of Canada, Canada just was not going to allow themselves to get swept by the U.S. Canada took the third set 25-22, but then the U.S. was able to hit the gas. They didn't hit the gas early, but they eventually started hitting the gas once the midway point of the set occurred. So once the U.S. crossed 15, that was pretty much that right there. And the U.S. was in no danger whatsoever. So the U.S. took that fourth set 25-18, and eventually they wound up winning the entire match and the gold. So congratulations to the U.S. on winning gold. The U.S. just continues to win gold in terms of like all these, other than the VNL, of course, but the U.S. just continues to win gold in like the lower levels, which I think is pretty darn awesome. Or gold and silvers at least. Gold and silver is pretty darn awesome. I know the U19 team didn't really have the best of luck, but it was still pretty darn amazing. So in terms of the U.S. versus Canada in the championship match, the U.S. outblocked Canada 11-7, and the U.S. had 7 fewer hitting errors. So the most valuable player was Sebastian Sani, or Seb Sani, who I think he's at UC San Diego. He's not with Long Beach State anymore. So he actually had 15 kills and 10 digs, which was pretty darn good. And then Riggs Guy, who actually was voted the best spiker of the tournament, he had 9 kills and 2 blocks. I just got to say, I covered Riggs Guy back in his high school days, and I just got to say, I'm so proud. Man, I'm about to shed a tear real quick. Just a kid from Newport Beach who now is winning gold, which I think is pretty darn awesome. I'm sorry if my Newport Harbor bias is showing, but honestly, Riggs Guy is that guy. And Cindy's going to be that guy for UC Santa Barbara, but I digress. Anyway, Yeah, I also kind of know Wade had 10 kills, which he actually put down the match clinching kill, albeit I think it was a net violation, but I digress. Kellen Larson had 8 digs. Travell Jordan had 7 kills and 2 blocks. So there you have it right there in terms of the U.S. and their notable stats. So once again, congratulations to the U.S. U21 team for winning the gold medal and whatnot. That's pretty darn amazing. So congratulations to them. And here's hoping we can continue to build off that and win more gold. And who knows, maybe we'll see these guys playing for the U.S. national team in the near future. But we'll see. Anyway, that is that right there for the U.S. U21 team. So now let's talk about the good news that Brian was talking about. He said, "Good evening, Teran. Congrats on the great news a while ago." So this week is going to be the U.S. men's national team. Yes, the actual U.S. men's national team. They will be having a red versus blue scrimmage on Thursday at Cypress College at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So if you're in the California area, you better go to this event. I swear to all that is holy, you better go. But this news actually was just released on Friday, so I don't understand why we got this news so late. I mean, I think they maybe could have planned this out a little bit better. I think they should have released it maybe a week prior to that. They should have released it, but this just felt all of a sudden like this was on a Friday, and it just felt so rushed and all of a sudden. So it's like, I think the USA volleyball could have done a better job of like maybe scheduling this and whatnot. But I kind of see why they scheduled this on Thursday. Maybe it's because Cypress College is getting back in action in terms of their volleyball season, because they have a women's volleyball team and the 3C2A should be getting underway fairly soon. But yeah, if you're in the Cypress area, go to Cypress College and go check out this event. I'm going to be there. And yes, I will be there as a member of the media. And I actually had to dig pretty deep in terms of, like, no pun intended. I had to dig pretty deep in terms of trying to find how to apply for a credential when it comes to this event. And thankfully, I had an email which sent me to like a link to where I could just apply for a media credential. And the USA Volleyball approved for me to attend, which I think is awesome sauce. So this Thursday, if you're going to be at the Cypress area, come see me, and we'll talk volleyball, and maybe we'll chat it up. Other than that, maybe if you want, you can have a picture with me. But yeah, the U.S. men's national team having this event is pretty darn awesome. I know there's no women's event, but I guess that kind of makes up for the men's national team not having a friendly match in the United States. So. What I will say is, you're probably all wondering why not an actual NCAA men's volleyball gymnasium. Probably because NCAA volleyball teams are getting ready. So Long Beach State, UC Irvine, San Diego State, USC, UCLA, Cal State Fullerton, Cal Poly, et cetera, all those schools are probably blocked off because those team seasons are just right around the corner. So I could see why USA Volleyball had to choose Cypress College and not like a four-year university with a really darn good gymnasium. So I know it sucks, but that's just how it is sometimes. And yeah, so yeah, I will be in attendance, as I want to thank USA Volleyball for giving me this volleyball media credential. And yeah, this is the great news that Brian Francione was talking about. So yeah, definitely come see me if you're going to be at Cypress College for the men's volleyball scrimmage. I know it's just a scrimmage, and I know it's just the red team versus the blue team, but still, you get to see some amazing volleyball talent, and you get to see the national team in your backyard. Plus, it kind of makes sense to have this at Cypress, just because I think the USA Volleyball headquarters is in Anaheim. If not, it's in it's located in their training facility, I think, is in Anaheim, not their headquarters, but still. It's their headquarters or their training facility is in California. So it kind of makes sense to have Cypress, which I think is pretty close to Anaheim. So there you go. I know I just spun your head around quite a bit, but that's pretty much the news right there. So definitely check it out if you're in the area. Anyway, so I actually do want to talk about the PVF and MLV merger and / rebrand. So look, so the PVF is not going to be the PVF anymore. It's now the MLV, which, I mean, it kind of doesn't make sense to have more than one league, but it kind of does. I mean, the more leagues, the better, but it just means that some teams would be leaving for other leagues. All that matters is that the Omaha Supernovas aren't going anywhere, as well as the other teams from the PVF. So, yeah. And free agency actually started last weekend. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to pretty much go over all of the list, but I will say the Omaha Supernovas are just crushing it in free agency. They signed Morgan Hance. They have Merritt Beeson coming back to Nebraska / Omaha, which is still Nebraska. They have Nora Sis coming home, which is pretty awesome sauce. They have Sydney Hilly coming back, which is quite amazing. They have other players that they signed as well. This is Omaha Supernovas team that's going to be stacked this year. I know it's still early in terms of the MLV season. It's still pretty early in terms of the MLV season and the / off season. But I will say Omaha looks like an early favorite in terms of winning the whole thing. Oh yeah, and they also re-signed Brooke Nunneveller. That's big right there. So, and then I guess Morgan Stout also joined. And then another notable free agent that signed with the Orlando Valkyries was Hannah Maddox. Now, you're probably wondering, well, wasn't she on Las Vegas? Yes, but Las Vegas doesn't have a team at the moment because of management. So, yeah. Hannah Maddox is going to be on the Orlando Valkyries. And Brittany Abercrombie just re-signed as well. That team's going to be pretty good as well. Is it too early to say that the Orlando Valkyries and the Omaha Supernovas are going to be on a collision course with one another? I think so. I don't think so. I think it's safe to say that those two could be on a collision course, but we'll see. Omaha also signed Allison Holder, and they also brought back Reagan Cooper. They signed Janice Liao. They re-signed Emily Londot. And like I said, Morgan Hance is back, not back. She's signed with the Omaha Supernovas, which is big. And then Sydney Hilly is back. Merritt Beeson signed with them. And their new general manager is, part-time owner / general manager is John Cook, which I think is pretty awesome. So that is pretty amazing that John Cook, just when we all thought that he was going to be on with his cattle, being retired from coaching volleyball, he now has an even bigger position in terms of volleyball, which I think is pretty awesome. And Laura Bird Kuhn actually stepped down from her position. So Laura Kuhn is no longer the head coach at Omaha. She did a fantastic job, by the way, especially with the situation with how Omaha lost their head coach in the first, I think it was before their season opener, and then Laura Bird Kuhn took over. So, and she did a fantastic job. She's a former Texas A&M coach, and I feel she should never have gotten fired from A&M in the first place. But then again, we would have never seen Jamie Morrison and whatnot. So, I don't know. So, Omaha's new head coach is actually Luca Slabe, the former USA assistant women's volleyball coach, which I think is a great hire. He also coached at NC State. He was a fantastic coach for NC State, and a pretty darn good coach, if you ask me. And he was also vital for the U.S. women's national team. So this is a good hire, in my opinion. I think Lucas Slabe is going to do great things for Omaha. And yeah, John Cook as the general manager and co-owner, I think the state of Nebraska is in good hands with volleyball. So there you go. All right, but that's that for some MLV news, and basically just to clarify what the MLV and PVF merge / rebrand is all about. So I'll have more free agents regarding the MLV next week once I have season 7 of Set Point. But yeah, that'll do it right there. So to close off some high school girls we'll talk some high school girls volleyball news. So for real this time, the Ann Kang tournament is this week, and there's going to be quite a number of teams. And I also should mention that Marissa Jones has committed to Kansas. So she is a setter, and she is one of the top 5 players on Prep Dig. So this is really awesome to see her finally committing. Again, all eyes are on Ireland Reel. I really want to. I think we all want to see Ireland Reel committing. I think she is a fantastic player. I think I speak for all volleyball fans that have seen her, and that she's just a fantastic player and whatnot. So I really think that we're all chomping at the bits here to see Ireland Reel commit and whatnot. So, but back to Marissa Jones. She's a fantastic player, and she's top 5 for a reason in terms of Prep Dig. So yeah, she's a setter. Her high school is Woodward Academy, and her club volleyball team is A5 Mizuno Volleyball Club. So she is from the great state of Georgia. So interesting that she chose Kansas among other teams. So good for her, though. Good for her. I'm happy for her, and I can't wait to see what Marissa Jones does with her team as well as Kansas. So some notable class of 2027 girls volleyball players that aren't committed. Obviously, Ireland Reel is one. And then you got Kalia Lee, who's on Modern Day, Ava Burgess, Stella Delgadillo, McKenna Barnes, Cynthia Ackerman. I replaced Jones with Hannah McGinnis, who is also a top 50 player. She's actually ranked number 44 in terms of the top 27 rankings, overall rankings. But yeah, Hannah McInnes, she's from Sierra Canyon. Her club volleyball team is Mizuno Volleyball Club. And then you've also got Olivia Greenwood, who I think who comes from Cathedral Catholic. She'll be good. I just didn't have enough time to fill in the whole thing because I ran out of space. And that's pretty much that. Though, like what the players that I just mentioned: Olivia Greenwood, Hannah McInnes, Cynthia Ackerman, McKenna Barnes, Eva Jeffries, Dakota Nguyen, Stella Delgadillo, Ava Burgess, Gentry Barker. Didn't she commit already? Yeah, Gentry Barker did commit. She committed to San Diego State. Kalia Lee and Ireland Reel, those players have not committed. Those are all in the top 50, and those are the only players that have yet to commit. And the reason why I have Kate Jackson in here is just because I think she's so underrated. She is not a top 125 player in terms of Prep Dig. Yeah, but she is a fantastic player. If you all saw her at Queens of the Court, she's dynamite. Anyway, but yeah, that's it for right there in terms of the notable class of 2027 girls volleyball players that haven't committed. Back to this high school girls volleyball news. So this week is the Ann Kang Invitational, which will be held in Hawaii, hosted by Iolani. So some of the participating schools are as follows: from California, Cardinal Newman, Harvard Westlake, Huntington Beach, J. Sarah, Los Alamitos, Miracosta, Redondo Union, and Sierra Canyon. I forgot to mention that Redondo Union is going to be pretty darn good this year. Redondo is going to be really good this year in the CIF Southern Section Miracosta is also going to be pretty good in CIF Southern Section girls volleyball. Sierra Canyon, like I mentioned a few weeks ago, that team's going to be stacked. Los Alamitos should be up there. Huntington Beach, I'm not sure. J. Sarah, I'm not sure about, and I don't know too much about Cardinal Newman. And Harvard Westlake, I know they're 2-0, but I don't. They haven't really been all that great since Natalie Regan was their head coach. And back then, her last name wasn't even Regan. So there you go. And then also from Nevada, partaking in the Ann Kang tournament is Bishop Gorman. So Bishop Gorman has a pretty darn good girls volleyball team, and you're going to see that team in Durango. And you're going to see that team face the likes of Modern Day, which I think is pretty cool as well. And then 3 teams from Texas partaking in the Ann Kang tournament are Byron Nelson, Cornerstone Christian, and Stratford High School. So Byron Nelson was last year's national champion via Max Preps and via prepvolleyball.com and pretty much everything. So Byron Nelson was the is the last year's national champion, and they're going to be really good. And then Cornerstone Christian is also pretty darn good as well. I don't know about Stratford High School, but yeah. And then Hawaii, you've got Hawaii Baptist, Iolani, and then Kalaheo, and then Punahou. So I thought Punahou was partaking in another tournament, but I guess they have two different teams. But yeah, Iolani, they're always good. Hawaii Baptist, I'm not sure about. I don't want to disrespect Hawaii Baptist, but I don't think Hawaii Baptist is on the level of Iolani or Punahou. And then Kalaheo, I don't know what to expect from them. I don't think they're going to be on the level of Iolani or Punahou, but at the same time, it's Hawaii. There's a lot of good teams from that state. So anyway, action gets underway, I think, Wednesday, and it's going to be a barn burner. They haven't released their schedule, but this tournament is always an amazing and a fun tournament. Last year, it was Byron Nelson that wound up winning the tournament, but who will it be this year? I think Sierra Canyon's got a legit shot at this year, but Byron Nelson is definitely going to be contending. I think it's safe to say that it's going to be between Sierra Canyon and Byron Nelson. That's my prediction, but maybe I'll be wrong. All right, but that's that for some high school girls volleyball. I'll have some notable high school girls volleyball matches to watch for once the season fully gets underway. And if you're going to be at Tesoro High School either this Saturday or next Monday, I'll be there. So if you want to, come see me and say hi or chat volleyball with me, I'll be there. All right, but that's going to basically do it for everything of this episode. So that's that for season 6 of Set Point. So season 7 will probably be next Tuesday, just because I'm probably going to be at Tesoro for their girls volleyball tournament championship semifinal and final on Monday. So you have that right there. I hate to have to move Set Point to Tuesday, but I really don't want to do it on a Sunday. I would rather not do Set Point on a Sunday. No. But yeah, Tuesday is basically going to be when I do Set Point. I'll probably do Set Point at like maybe 3:00. I mean, either 3:00. I don't think I want to do 5:00 just because we have a show going on there, and I don't want anyone's attention to be divided. So we'll see. But do expect an episode of Set Point on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. But on that note, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Set Point. We are through 6 seasons of Set Point. Next week is season 7 of Set Point. This is going to be fun. I'm really hoping to take Set Point to greater heights. I guess some memorable moments when it came to Set Point in terms of season 6 was, well, celebrating the 300th episode of Set Point. That's a big one. Getting this USA volleyball credential for this event that's going to be happening this week with the U.S. men's national team. That's going to be another fun event. That's going to be another highlight. Going to TCU and seeing the eventual national champions, TCU, do their thing against Texas, Florida State, Boise State, and FAU. So that was kind of another notable memory from season 6 of Set Point. Also checking out the AVP League Championship. That was another memorable season 6 memory of Set Point. I'm just naming things off the top of my head that I did for season 6 of Set Point. I'm hoping to have more things happening for Set Point when it comes to season 7. And also, I guess I should mention that Set Point will be turning 6 years old in about 6 weeks. Pretty much 6 weeks from tomorrow. 6 weeks from tomorrow, Set Point will turn 6 years old, which I think is pretty darn awesome if you ask me. But that's looking too far ahead. But I thank you all for tuning in to the season 6 finale of Set Point. For everyone here at iSports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Have an amazing week. Enjoy all the volleyball action. And to all of you NCAA women's volleyball fans, next week, this is the last week we will have in terms of not having any volleyball that doesn't count. Next week, we will have volleyball that does count. But until then, take care, and I will see you hopefully soon and hopefully at Cypress College on Thursday. Please do attend that. I want to see y'all. I want to see a big turnout. I want to see the representation from California. But have a great week. Enjoy all the volleyball, and I will see you soon. Peace.